Welcome to In and Out of Character. This is a podcast about role-playing. Just a conversation between two players about their characters and about the way that they feel about role-playing. That's all there is. Some caution is advised, as some of these topics may not be suitable for everybody. Tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
I don't have anything to call myself. I just call myself Tiny Upbeat. But that's just like a random name I came up with.
I mean, so is Rin. Actually, no, Rin isn't a random name. Rin is because, did you ever watch a cartoon called Rin and Stimpy?
No.
Yeah, it's an old... oh, God, I'm showing my age. Rin and Stimpy was an old cartoon.
You're showing your boomer colors.
I am. Oh, no. And I've always been a big guy. Like, I've always been tall. I've always been large. So all the other kids called me Rin because I used to have to take... I used to be a little slow. And... they just, I don't know, the other kids just called me Rin, and it just stuck with me for as long as I can remember.
Nice. So I'm sort of a self-taught, quote-unquote, writer. I think these days it would be more accurate to call myself a light novelist, because I sadly don't really have the motivation to just sit down for like an hour or two and just write a whole story by myself. I just do roleplay these days for like writing.
Yeah. What do you roleplay in?
Well, you know, I go onto Elder Scrolls Online and make way too many characters.
I think at this point, since I've known you, I think you've made, hold on, I met you with one character, and they made 1, 2, 3,
like I think 4 or 5.
Yeah, I remember the orc, the Khajiit, the Argonian.
Yeah,
those are the ones I remember.
That's kind of a problem I have developed. So as I said, you know me for role playing with like Elder Scrolls Online, but I most prominently role play on Discord with like friends and such, or servers. But I've also been on Guild Wars 2. I've been in the roleplay. Yeah, I've been in the roleplay community there for like a while, and it hasn't been the best experience, and I felt very ignored in that community. Like, everyone felt very close and was forming relationships, and I was very deep within some groups, but I always felt sort of ignored by like everyone, even the friends that I've made. And so I sort of developed this problem where when it seems like something isn't working out, even just slightly, I immediately lose interest and just drop the idea and go on to something else.
Really?
And I hate that. But luckily it's only really prominent when I do like MMORPG roleplay. Because when I do roleplay on Discord, I don't like roleplay with my Elder Scrolls character. I actually make characters from like original like species and original settings, kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, you know. So I'm more focused on these and don't just abandon them whenever I get the chance.
Right. Well, I can kind of understand, because when it comes when it comes to role playing in MMOs, a lot of people are used to is almost that instant gratification of I
Mm,
am using my character to write a story. Now
yeah,
someone else responds to that, and they respond in character, both either negatively or positively. So
yeah,
if you start to feel ignored while you're role playing, especially in an MMO, then
yeah,
of course you're gonna feel bad about it because again
yeah,
the whole point of it is for you to have a real time story with somebody.
yeah,
I can't even imagine what that would be like in D&D or like a tabletop game. Because
yeah,
like imagine sitting down at a table with like 3 to 4 other people, and
yeah,
then they just like you do something and then they just completely ignore you. They don't even tell you that they're going to
yeah.
not do that thing. They're just like, hmm, nah.
Yeah, they don't even acknowledge you or like contact you or anything.
Right, yeah. So I can understand like
Yeah,
if I had a character and they were completely ignored, I'd be like, actually, that
yeah,
sort of happened to me last night.
oh,
With a different guild of mine. Um, mind you, it looked like they just had a lot going on. So I was like, I'm tired, and
yeah.
I tried to stay in character, but my internet died, and after about 20-ish minutes of trying to get my internet working again, um, or I should say my phone service because I use a hotspot. Um, I was like, I'm just gonna go to bed. I'm tired.
Yeah, that's fair, honestly.
hmm When did you
And
when did
huh?
go ahead, go ahead.
And that's kind of like I think that's also why I just prefer to roleplay on Discord, because on Discord there are people that I actually know and am very close with. So like you said, that you won't be ignored if you are in a D&D group, which is what happens if you roleplay on Discord. You know the people, so obviously you're not gonna be ignored. And I think what also adds on top of that is tavern roleplay just sucks. Just going into a public space and like seeing random people that you don't know and having to somehow interact with them. Like I just can't do that very well.
hmm Yeah, we met. Our characters met at a bar.
Yeah.
At the same tavern that a few of my I think a few of hold on. Have I had any other guests at Anchor Point? From Anchor Point
I
on here?
don't know.
No, yeah, I think you're the first. I think you're the first
Oh damn.
random person from Anchor Point who's been on the podcast. So,
Oh, that's
congratulations.
cool.
Oh, also, just so everyone knows that you are calling me from Germany, right?
Oh yeah.
And I'm awake at the wonderful hours of 4:30 in the morning. Oh man, it is
It's
really
like
early.
yeah, it's like 11:40 a.m. for me.
Uh,
I'm awake. I'm feeling great. Everything is just wonderful for me.
oh, I gotcha. Oh, this cup of coffee is gonna go down great. Um,
Oh hell yeah!
but tell me how you got started in role playing.
I'm so glad that you asked me that because while I was preparing for the podcast, I was like, bro, I'm spitting out facts that I've never told anyone before.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Mostly because no one ever asked me that. Do you
Well,
know a little unknown site called the Miiverse?
the what?
The Miiverse, you know the Nintendo characters, the Miis.
Yeah, I know about the Mii's. I don't know about Miiverse.
The
Let me.
Miiverse was basically like Nintendo's own Twitter. You could sign in through like
Oh
I
my
don't
god, what
know.
is this? What is this? I'm looking it
You
up
could.
right now. What is this?
It's like your own little Twitter. You could sign in through like your Nintendo DS or like your Wii U and
Uh-huh.
just hang out with people. And while I was browsing that site as like a fucking toddler, I just someone I followed was like, "Hey, do you guys want to role play with me?" I was like, "What is this role playing I hear about? What is that?" So this
Mm-hmm.
person just like explained it to me like, "Oh, you just like you pretend to be a character." And I think she played like a siren character or someone. And me, being the dumb toddler that I was like, I want to play Toothless. I love Toothless. How to Train Your Dragon is amazing. So I
Mm-hmm.
just had this cringy ass roleplay, pretending to be fucking Toothless.
Oh, that's my favorite story so far. Every single time I have a guest come on here, they always take me to like a new site that I have no idea has even existed. And let's see, it looks like it's not even it doesn't exist. Yeah, it's
I
discontinued.
think it's been taken down, yeah.
Yeah,
Which is a shame, really.
it was taken down. Oh my god, 5 years ago? Yeah, almost 5 years ago.
Damn.
4 years ago. Almost. It's gonna be 5 in November the 7th.
Yeah. So it's like
Oh,
this weird site that doesn't even exist anymore, you know?
oh god. Oh no, I'm feeling old. God, we were talking about my age earlier. Now I just feel real old. God, I remember when that shit
I'm
came out.
really pulling out the boom on this podcast.
Oh no. But yeah, go ahead. You were talking about role playing as Toothless, and
Oh yeah.
how did that bring you from the Miiverse all the way up to like ESO? Like what was all the steps you had to take just to get to this point?
I don't fucking know. Like I
Well, you
think
said
there
you
was
role
like
played. Mm-hmm.
I think this one roleplay on Miiverse, it was like maybe half an hour of just cringy bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And for years after that, I just did nothing with roleplay. I came onto Elder Scrolls Online when I was like, I think 14. I was very much into Skyrim and thought it was super cool. So I was there day one when the Elder Scrolls Online came out, and I bought it. And I just loved it, you know? So I just kept playing.
Oh
And
wow, how old were you? Oh god, this is another telling of age. How old were you when Elder
I
Scrolls
was
came out?
13, like I said. Like,
Oh, or
I was just a teen.
oh yeah, for when Skyrim came out, I was let's see, that was 11, 11, 11. I remember that because I remember the night going there. It was a cold ass night. I was in Florida. I was in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. And let's
God,
see, dude, I was 21 when that game came out. I am 32 now. I am
oh my
about to be
god,
32. My birthday is like a couple of days.
damn. So yeah, I got onto Elder Scrolls Online day one, and I didn't roleplay it. It took me some time because it was sort of scarce back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I saw an ad for role playing guild.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
thought, huh, that sounds kind of intriguing. And I remember that cringy ass roleplay I did on Miiverse. So
Right.
I was sort of intrigued, and I just went in with this random character I had that was like with no experience or anything in role playing. So I went in, and it was awful because I was with these experienced role players, and I just did random bullshit that didn't make any sense. I was playing a Khajiit, and I don't know. She was called the Unknown, and she
The
was a female.
unknown.
Yeah, and
Oh
she
my
was
god,
called
I love this.
yeah, and she was like, she was just your stereotypical like teasy playful Khajiit thief, you know? Was
Uh-huh.
bullshit.
I'm still giggling. I'm giggling at the fact that you called her the unknown.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad because I called her like Wasdor or something, which is like the unknown in the Khajiit language, but it's still pretty awful, yeah.
It's still great. Okay, so that's slightly better. I literally thought to myself, it's like, no, you just put in the words the unknown
uh,
as your
buddy,
character.
buddy, I'm about to get there, okay? because I had this other character
Hmm.
who was like a Nord warrior, and I wanted to play him with that role playing guild because I found another who was like a Dark Brotherhood role playing guild, and I loved the Dark Brotherhood, you know? And I was just this cringy assassin who just quote unquote remained silent, you know? I went that route.
Oh man, I used to be a part of a really awesome role player Dark Brotherhood guild way back when. Let's see, about 4 years ago. And I
Yeah.
loved this guild so. This guild was so cool.
Yeah.
Mind you, my character was not an assassin, but one of my friends who I met was the leader of the guild, and it was just so fun because he was so
Oh yeah.
detailed in like how he had his players do
Oh
everything,
yeah.
and he actually like told like he took more responsibility for his players than anything else because he'd be like, all right, remember, you're not going around telling people you're in the Dark Brotherhood, so
Yeah.
please don't tell anybody you're in the Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah, and that's like the Dark Brotherhood is so fucking cool, man. And I want that kind of experience. I want that really well made Dark Brotherhood guild. That's
I
just
know,
fun, you know? That
I
really
know, but
shows the nature of that.
I know, but then like every single time I've joined like a Dark Brotherhood, except for Dajiro's,
Yeah.
what will happen?
Is that
It
real quick? Is that the late husband of
Yeah, of Callie's, yep. Hmm.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah. And I still keep in contact with him
Oh
to
nice.
this day. And matter of fact, I'm hoping to get him on the podcast so we can talk about it. But
Oh yeah.
the one of the biggest things that I found besides for his guild is that if you have a Dark Brotherhood guild, it turns into like this evil guild.
Oh man.
Um,
That
and it becomes like this. I don't want to. It
Listen,
becomes
let me
it,
let me guess. It becomes this like stereotypical cringy edgelord guild.
yeah, and like that, like I get it, Dark Brotherhood, you're edgy, you're wearing red and black, I get it, but
Yeah,
have some character,
that's the
please.
thing. That's the thing I hear happen with every Dark Brotherhood or like criminal assassin guild. It's just cringy edgelord bullshit.
I know, and like I'm not knocking anybody's character. You
Yeah,
don't have to be the dark brooding type to have a good assassin for real.
definitely.
And like when it came to Dejiro's guild, like that was my first Dark Brotherhood guild, and there was no actual like cringy, the stereotypical I'm gonna stand in the shadows and like the night is my friend, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
No, like we had a multitude of different characters in that guild, and
Oh
like the
yeah.
players themselves were the characters were all actual believable characters.
Oh yeah.
Um, like one of them was like a baker or something like
Yeah.
that before they joined the guild. I think one of them was even a tailor, if that makes sense.
Uh,
Yeah,
that's cool.
and like all these characters came together and it made this really wonderful company. And I'm so sad when I think about the this guild. I have to remember what it was called. I remember the character's name. I don't remember what it was called, but I was so sad when the guild broke up because
Yeah.
and disbanded because Dejaro's player Tom, he got too addicted to role playing and he just
Yeah.
needed to take a step back.
I can completely understand that because that kind of also happened with me and Guild Wars roleplay.
Mhm.
Because I was just, it's really difficult for me to find any sort of roleplay
Mhm.
because I focus on like monster character, like character that are have literally like a monstrous appearance, you know.
Mhm.
And there aren't a lot of people that do that kind of roleplay, so I just gotta take what I can get. And the Guild Wars community was very active, and I really liked my character, so you know,
Mhm.
I just got addicted, and it got to a point where my friends had to come to me and be like, "Hey, like we kind of missed you, you know? Like, do you always just role playing and not like interacting with us?" It got really bad, and I'm glad I'm over Guild Wars because it's just gotten so bad, but I just never want to do anything with Guild Wars now.
I used to was that Guild Wars 1 or 2?
Too.
2. I used to do a little bit of role playing in Guild Wars 2, and I can understand what you're talking about, like with the
Yeah.
addiction and stuff like that, because like I don't. So I love the universe and stuff like that. Like I love, and this isn't just like Guild Wars 2 universe. Like I just like the worlds. Um,
Yeah, it's definitely a very interesting world.
yeah, I like Shelby and I were in the last episode, Shalandi, we're talking
Yeah.
about how we like to just like sort of hang out in environments and like just listen to the ambiance in the
Yeah.
background while we're fishing or we're just talking. And I've
Yeah.
always been like that, where I've just like I've enjoyed the environment that I've been in, and I don't have to like I can visualize myself being in there, and being
Yeah.
in game helps me out.
Yeah,
And
that's definitely very like it adds to the immersion.
hmm And sometimes that is a lot more appealing than going and running dungeons or going and doing raids or stressing out that I don't have the right gear anymore. When it came to World
Well,
of Warcraft, I was obsessed with doing raids and dungeons. Like I would wake up. I think I would get like 3 hours of sleep just to wake up in time to go do a raid or something like that, and I got real sick, like real
oh
fast.
no.
I was yeah, I was well, I don't even remember. I don't even remember the classes and the races I was playing to do the raids. But I remember I was on the horde side for this bit.
I have to give credit where credit is due. World of Warcraft has so many different classes and races. It's really cool.
Oh
I
no.
gotta say that.
I know, and I logged back in like just the other day after not being in there for months and months, and I just it threw me back because I was like I've been playing since World of Warcraft first came out.
Okay.
Um, I was playing when they were like were promising race race specific weapons and stuff like
Uh-huh.
that. Which obviously they didn't do, and that's fine. Then back then they had like 5 6 races each, and now there's like 10 races each.
Damn.
Yeah. And it's still no neutral. Just give some of the people the option to do neutral. They don't want to. Some people just want to
Uh,
role play. They don't want to do all the crazy crap.
yeah,
Um.
I don't give a shit about the fucking free banner war in the Elder Scrolls Online. I just
Oh,
want
neither
to
do
hang
I.
out.
Neither do I. I have every intention of going to Cyrodiil for one reason, and that is to just quickly do the content, get all the sky shards, and leave. But
Yeah, that's fair.
back to what I was trying to say earlier, when I was raiding and stuff, I would get like 3 hours of sleep. I would barely eat. I was young and dumb, and I was oh man, and but I always had the chance to go role playing as like a way to like wind down, and role
Yeah.
playing became like much more important to me than raiding did.
Yeah, that's uh it's funny that you say you didn't do any like dungeons or anything in Guild Wars because neither did I.
Yeah, I didn't.
But
I think I completed a few zones. Like you know how you can go around getting check marks in that
yeah,
game. Pretty much that was it. Like I did the starting area for the char and make
yeah,
maybe a few areas outside of it. I was trying to log in the other day just to look at my old character, but I don't have the phone that had my old authenticator on it, so I'm trying to get that undone.
yeah. That's kind of what I did. I just did like zones to level my character and then just use them in like DLCs and shit like that. I never
Mm-hmm.
did. The only time I did dungeons was when there was like cosmetics or whatever that I wanted for a nice
Mm-hmm.
look. But that's
Mm-hmm.
it. And that's not even what I did most of the time because I had a lot of like vouchers that would give you dungeon specific currency so you
Mm-hmm.
could just buy the stuff you want.
Yeah. Um I kind of miss Guild Wars 2 role playing. I used to have a char. Her name was Neftani. Do you
Oh, I
remember
had a chart
the
too.
yeah, do you remember the coin? Did you ever go to the role playing hub?
That's the only place I went to. Like the coin and the fucking the other tavern. I can't remember the name.
If you were in there, I'm gonna say like again 4 years ago, about 4 years, about
Yeah.
5 years ago, I used to my character used to bartend
Oh
the
hell
coin, and her name was Naftani. God, we had DJs, like we had actual DJs come in there and play
yeah.
music, and like there were like dance parties some nights. That was fun. I miss those
Yeah.
times. You
That
can't do
sounds
that
really cool.
now. You can't do that
Yeah.
now
Now.
because because an elder. Well, you can't do it in Elder Scrolls. I'm pretty sure you could do it in like World of Warcraft and stuff like that, where you can
Yeah.
have all these fantastical, magical
Yeah.
uh items so that makes all these crazy musics, and one plays Despacito. Why not?
Alexa play Despacito.
Despacito.
Yeah, but the sad thing about Guild Wars is that I think Guild Wars is one of the best games that you could roleplay in because the world actively evolves around you and there are events that change the world and give you new options, which is really cool. And I had a char that was from the Flame Legion,
Same.
and he was basically a reformed Flame Legion that was trying to become like an envoy from the Flame Legion. He was gathering followers and everything, and he basically wanted there to be like peace, you know. And but so he went to the actual like in character guild that was playing the ministry in Divinity's Reach,
Mm-hmm.
and they have an actual like event once a month where they hear their people out and address matters and everything. So I went to them. I was like, I had a good speech prepared for them. So I
Mm-hmm.
went there, I said it, and it was really good. It was very convincing. And there were other people that came with the Flame Legion chart that were like, yo, that was really good. I may not like you, but damn, I think you may really do well and be like the future of our people. And I was like, damn, that's great. Thank you so much. I felt good. But then the ministry was like, well, no, fuck you. You just want to play redemption arc for your fucking legion. We don't care about that. Like, it's cool that you want to do that, but we don't care about it. And it's like, well, fuck you too, I guess.
Oh no. So you can
Like,
definitely say that you've had like some bad experiences. Uh
definitely.
well, was this
The pro
was this a in character interaction, or was this like an
in
out of okay,
character.
cool. So like no one out of character was like your idea sucks.
Well, I made an out of character application for the ministry to become an envoy, but they rejected it,
Mm.
saying, "Well, this is just a redemption arc, so it's like not cool. So goodbye. We don't care."
Oh, who doesn't
And
like a good redemption arc?
in character, they were very passive aggressive when they rejected my thing in character. So I was like, "Oh, that sucks."
Oh
Which is
man.
like that's one of the problems with the roleplay community is that there is an actual guild that is trying to be the ministry
Mm-hmm.
or like a governing body and they
Right.
want to like decide things that
Mm-hmm.
people have to adhere to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the spokesperson, I remember that guy, Eric Lombardi was his name. He was such a terrible spokesperson of the ministry because he would constant the only thing he would be known for is constantly making races where people could win a lot of gold from, but he would literally not do anything else that would be of any beneficial way to anyone, you know.
Mm-hmm. I feel
So
like
I was
I
like,
know
why?
this name. I feel like I know this
Yeah.
name. Is something is pulling at my memory strings, but I'm not entirely sure what. I feel like I know this person, but it is what it is.
And the other problem with the Guild Wars community, the role playing community. I mean, is that there's a very clear vibe, and if you don't follow that vibe, you're just being ignored and thrown away like
Oh,
trash,
that is actually
and
the
no one
reason
cares about you.
that it was actually the reason why I stopped role playing in the Guild Wars 2 community.
Yeah,
Is because it felt very clicky. It felt very, if you
yeah,
didn't know
that's
somebody,
exactly it.
or if you didn't have a compelling character, then you couldn't.
Yeah,
No, so when it came to my character Neftani, because I'm always used to putting myself in the middle of a large group of people.
yeah,
I'm like this in real life, and I'm like this in even with my characters. Of course, you've seen Callie. Callie gets tons of love and affection from everybody, and
yeah.
it was the same with Neftani. So when I went and joined Guild Wars 2, I immediately found the hub, and I put myself in the hub, and I became the bartender at the coin because I didn't understand that there was an NPC who wasn't actually an NPC. Like, there was no actual
Oh
model
yeah,
there who was supposed to be manning the bar. I didn't know
yeah.
that my first day there, so Neftani just was like, all right, I guess since there's no one here bartending, I'm going to do it. And
I
from
mean, that's a fair assumption on your part because you don't know. You're just new to this thing, so you can't like know that universally people accept that there's just an NPC that doesn't actually exist. You know?
right, and so Mike, I didn't have too much difficulties, but I did notice like I started having a lot of players come to me and were like, I can't get into the role playing. I want to, I don't know where it is, and it just got to the point where I couldn't handle everybody. And
Yeah,
I don't like ignoring people. So I try my best to get to everybody, but it comes to a certain point, especially in Guild Wars, where I couldn't help everybody, and it started to really weigh me down as a player. And it just started really weighing Niftani down as a character because
yeah, that's fair.
I no longer had the ability to role play my character. I was too busy trying to make sure everybody else had a chance to role play.
Yeah, and
And
that's a point where it's like roleplay is supposed to be a fun and enjoyable experience
mm-hmm,
for everyone involved,
mm-hmm.
and if you're not like if you're clearly like not enjoying this, it's a very obvious problem.
And it's also difficult because like you said, it's supposed to be a fun and enjoyable experience, but you also have to remember that fun and enjoyable experiences varies from person to person. So
Yeah,
you have all these different ideologies coming together to create this story, and I
mm,
think that's great. I prefer it like that.
yeah,
But when it came to Guild Wars, it's just people, unless you know people or unless you have a very charismatic character, um
yeah,
you had a hard time role playing, and after a
yeah,
while I just left. I didn't tell
yeah.
anybody
That's fair.
goodbye. I just went on my way.
That's sort of what I did because it became a problem for me. I was playing too much Guild Wars and I just needed time off. And I didn't tell anyone that I was leaving. And maybe this is a bit selfish, but I felt awful when no one came to me, like, asking me, hey, like, you've been gone for, like, literally 3 months. Like, are you okay? Did something happen?
Hmm.
No one came for me. And when I got back, no one really cared that I was back. Like,
Hmm.
it was like I was not gone for, like, literal months. And that's sort of the first part where I noticed it. It's like, yeah, people don't care about like me, or it seems like they don't care about
Hmm.
me.
So I'm not going to say that's selfish at all, because here's the big thing that everybody has to remember: your time is your time. And when
Yeah,
you time is not something that you're ever going to get back. You cannot gain more time, and time is not something that anyone can provide more of. You're never going to live past the point of what you're going to live.
yeah,
And
extension weight.
yeah, there's no way to gain more time. There is absolutely no
Yeah,
way to do that. You are going to eventually run out of time. So
yeah,
when you realize the true value of time and how it's like the most expensive currency in your life, when you start to put that time into others, even if it's for something like role playing. It it becomes
Yeah.
like like our characters are role playing, and you're putting all this time and effort into whoever you're doing this with, and they just ignore you. Like that's it
Yeah.
can feel like time wasted.
Yeah.
It can, and you're just sitting there
Exactly.
going, well, what did I do for the last 3 4 months? Like what was the point? I mean, it's like I get
Yeah.
it. Like, I
Yeah.
can see two different sides of this argument. Where one is like, of course, it's your time, and the other one is like, of course, you're selfish. But no, you're not selfish. You have a right to dedicate the time,
Yeah.
the only time you're ever going to get in your life, to whomever for whatever reason, doing whatever you want. And if it's role playing, then you have the right to step back and
Yeah.
say, I don't feel happy here, and no one and it feels like no
Yeah.
one wants me here, so I'm going to go spend my time elsewhere. I don't think it's selfish at all. I think you are perfectly justified in stepping away.
Oh, thank you. And talking about bad experiences, yesterday, I think I was telling you about this. I was talking with a guy I've met, I think around when I really started getting into roleplay and
Mhm.
the Elder Scrolls Online. Like, not really. Like, let's say a few months ago, I got back into the Elder Scrolls Online and I got back into role playing in the game. And when I did that, I met someone who had kind of a bad reputation. Like, a lot of my friends I had at the time in the game were telling me, like, yeah, this guy's clearly like not a good person to be around, and his characters aren't all that good, and blah, 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 shit like that. And I roleplayed a little bit with him back then, and I kind of saw, yeah, this isn't really working out. I don't particularly like this person. So the last thing I heard of him back then is
Mhm.
that his character died, and that was that. He left the game because of drama. And the other day, I met this person again after months of not hearing of him, and I was like, "Hey, I kind of remember you," and we just got into a casual conversation. And I actually went to hear his
Mhm.
side of the story, and I was hearing about his drama and how it all came to be, and it made me realize it's really easy to hate people without hearing their side of the story, and it's something people like to do way too easily. Because when I was listening to this guy, I was like, man, I just feel
Mhm.
bad for him. It seems uh like you were talking about, you didn't know that there was like an actual NPC, a
Mhm.
bartender, so you were the bartender, and this guy, he had a character, and he just wanted to play like a god, but he didn't find any guilds or anything for that, so he just assumed that his character was a god, so to speak. And when he was trying to act like a god and trying to keep
Mhm.
peace and everything, someone he was apprehending went onto Discord, like the Discord for
Mhm.
like gods, and he was saying like, "Yo, this guy's being like a total idiot. He's trying to apprehend me. He's not a proper god or
Mhm.
in our Discord or anything." So in character, they went to him and just beat him up, and like in a very
Mhm.
god mody way. And out of character, the people were telling him like, "You're such an idiot for just
Mhm.
doing that. You should have talked to us. You should have contacted our admin." So he went to the admin. I was like, he explained the situation and was trying to get into the server and trying to be like a god, but they immediately rejected him. And so, because of that situation, he just got a very bad
Oh.
reputation
Oh, I hate that for
among the
him.
whole
Like I don't mean to
community.
speak ill of anybody, but it's like large communities have to remember that you do not own the server. And yes, you put in the work to make yourself a large
Yeah,
community. I get that. But just because you're the guard of Stormwind does not mean you're the only place that
Yeah.
can be the guard of Stormwind. You are not the end all be all of the community. You are role
Yeah.
players. And again, I understand that you put in the hard work
Yeah.
and the dedication to make this community. However, you should not approach anybody like what Tiny Upbeat here just said. You definitely should not go to any player and be like, "You're not a part of our community, so therefore you can't be here doing what you're currently doing," unless it's like your own private area.
Yeah.
Like, I'm assuming this was. I'm gonna just quickly use World of Warcraft. Like, there's Stormwind, and there are role playing guilds are the where you are the guards of this of Stormwind, and like
Yeah.
those guilds, awesome. I haven't had any issues with them. Now, but if someone were to come along and wanted to just role play as a guard, it would definitely not be okay for that community to approach this person out of character, getting onto them. Like, what would be the point of that? Like, first off, maybe they
Yeah.
didn't know about you, and you can never assume that they did know about you.
Yeah.
Um, and second off, what's
Yeah.
going to happen once you have another role playing guild pop up that is also the guards of Stormwind? Like,
Yeah.
it's you should never ever as a community act like you are the absolute in your community.
Yeah. So I really liked uh that people were actually making seraph
Mm-hmm.
guilds in Guild Wars 2 where they were
Mm-hmm.
pretending to be the god. But it's been so long that no one actually keeps these guilds up. And so they all just disbanded and no one plays a
I
god
mean,
anymore.
I can understand. Like, I think there's in one of my guilds, there's one person who role plays as the one of the Daedric gods, but she doesn't take it into like open world. It's very closed.
That's yeah.
Like, I can understand that. I couldn't
Yeah.
understand like it's. I guess if the players are okay with it, then
Yeah.
it's all right. But like if someone
Yeah, if it's like your
yeah
own private
yeah if
bubble,
someone came
like
to me and
who's
was like,
gonna
I'm
care?
role playing as the Daedric god Meru's Dagon, um I'd be like, all right, well, I'm not gonna have any part of this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not gonna acknowledge
yeah,
this
I'm gonna.
character. Goodbye. I feel like that's a reasonable response when someone walks in on you and is like, I'm literally Moon's Dagon embodied. That's a moment when you are allowed to say, I won't acknowledge you. Because that's a shitty thing to, like, do. You can't just say, like, I play as a literal god.
Yeah, so that's one of the again, I'm not gonna sit here and like down on anybody, but that is like one of the biggest roles and role playing, especially in like a community like this, especially so in MMOs, because
Yeah.
you have no control over the other players. For real, for real. This isn't like a tabletop. You're not in like the DM at all times, so you can't make these decisions. So if you like step forward trying to roleplay a god, I mean,
Yeah.
the biggest problem about this is what if another person is role playing the same god? That means that one of you is obviously fake, or you're gonna have to both come together and be like, no, no, we are both the same god. We're just two different aspects of the same god. And at
Oh
that point, what happens
no.
when you start getting a whole group of you? Like, imagine if somebody was role playing as Mara,
Yeah.
the Adric goddess of or I say goddess. I don't think they actually have genders. So I'm gonna say the divine.
I mean, I think every Daedric prince, no matter if they look male or female or whatever, they're always referred to
Yeah,
as princess and not like
yeah, princes.
princesses
Mhm.
or whatever. So I
Yeah,
think, yeah, they
Daedric or
don't have a
Daedric. The
gender.
divines. The divines. Of course, they don't have a gender. The divines. Um. So if one person is role
Yeah.
playing as Mara, and I mean, imagine a guild where you do nothing. Like everybody is an aspect of Mara. Oh no,
God, that actually sounds hilarious.
But at the same, I think it'd get real tiring real quick.
It can work if you're like it's just a private setting
Hmm.
and you just do it like to fuck around. It's like a fun thing. You're just trolling amongst yourself, you know?
Hmm.
If like you can if like someone walks up to you and is like, yo, by the way, I'm Mara in a public setting, but it's like it's clear that this person is just like delusional or crazy. I think that can just be a fun dynamic, you know?
I get it.
Like that they aren't actually a god, they're just pretending or crazy or whatever.
Yeah, like oh, that'd be so cool. Oh, I'd love that. I would love to see like a cult of Akatosh and everybody. Not Akatosh. No, not Akatosh. Arcade. I'm gonna say cult of Arcade. And because I can just imagine everybody in this guild claiming to be RK, and everybody's referred to as RK, and they just go around to these different groups saying, "I am the divine of RK. I am a piece of RK." Like I can imagine a cult guild, and I can
Yeah,
imagine.
you know how I could actually imagine that if the story was like we were all cursed by Shio Goaf or something.
Yeah, something like something crazy, but I would like even like if it wasn't a private setting, if it was like a public setting, I could actually see this working out if all the players understood that some crazy crap will probably happen to you. And also, by the way, you're not actually RK. We're just all insane.
Yeah.
We are all just crazy,
God,
crazy people.
that would be so funny if like you're just sitting in a bar, like enjoying a drink, and then like a group of 5, maybe 10 people, all wearing like robes of a priest, come in and it's like, rejoice, people! Okay, has come.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember the guy from Skyrim? He's in the very like no the yeah the very first big hold you get to not Windhelm. Oh my God, Whiterun,
White one.
the guy outside preaching about Talos.
Oh
Imagine
no!
just a whole guild of
That
nothing
would
but
be
him.
amazing. That would be
I would
so
love
good.
that.
Jesus Christ.
I don't even want them to interact with me. I just want them to go to random cities. Like they don't even have to role play.
Yeah.
Like they don't even have to interact with other role players. I just want them to go to cities and just start preaching and slash yell
Oh my
and
god.
just to see what will happen. I don't even care if this is a public setting. I just want them to just go out and start shouting
Oh, that would be
exactly that way.
so good.
Anyways,
That would be so good. Jesus Christ.
so so you came to Elder Scrolls after was it after Guild Wars or did you take a stint from Elder Scrolls and
Oh, I played Elder Scrolls back when it came out, and for like a few
Mhm.
years I took a break from it, and then I got into Guild Wars 2. And after I was done with Guild Wars 2, a few years later, I got back into Elder Scrolls Online.
Man, I gotta tell you,
Mm.
I miss Guild Wars 2 roleplay. I miss Final Fantasy roleplay. I miss Star Wars roleplay. Dude, I miss
Sci-fi is so amazing.
sci-fi
That's
roleplaying.
actually it's good that you mentioned
Our high
sci-fi. This is not like a game roleplay or anything. This was a server I found on like a site or whatever. It was a really good roleplay where it's like futuristic sci-fi bounty hunting. It was great. You were in this
Mhm.
really greatly set up setting with like a corrupt government that was basically making people become bounty hunters, and then they couldn't leave. They had to stay there and work for this corrupt government. It was so good. The people were actually dedicated to make this work, and because it was like a futuristic sci-fi space exploration thing, you could just play as whoever the fuck you wanted to be. So I could play my weird monster characters and just go nuts. Obviously, with the normal rules of god modding and shit. But this is where the bad
Hmm.
experience comes in because the literal owner of the server was just an asshole. So it just ruined the roleplay for me.
I'm sorry about
Yeah,
that. That can unfortunately happen. Like when you step into a position of leadership, a lot of people look at you for the tone, the setting, the like what is okay, what is not okay, and they also look at you to see how you're going to handle it. And when leadership
yeah,
fails in communication, and when they fail in what I call what I call a happen chance of compassion. Like if they come and they just do not understand a situation and don't touch up on that, like they
yeah.
don't comment on that situation, then it can lead
Mm,
to you feeling ignored about your situation. It's like I've told people who stepping into roles of leadership that it is okay to make the decisions because you are there to make the decisions to help make the community run. But do not ignore anybody's plight. Sit down and talk about it with them and be like, "Hey, this is happening." And I know that this is happening, but this if I make this decision, this is what's going to happen. So for the betterment of the community,
yeah.
I'm going to make this decision. And I am sorry if that really upsets you. As a leader, you have to take on the responsibility of
Mhm.
you're gonna make somebody upset. And there is no way around that. That no matter what you do, you are never going to be a truly great leader because there is someone who is out there who will
Yeah,
obviously not like what you do. But I'm going off on a little rant here. Leadership can really
yeah,
make it or break it in a community, especially a role playing community. Because again, this is a role playing community.
yeah.
We aren't a governing body of people. No matter how large your guild gets, you will never, ever, ever be a. You will never be big enough to make the decisions for every
Yeah.
single player in on the game. Yeah, you are
Yeah.
role players. That's it, pure and simple. Let me ask you this question then. Like, what is your? I know when you risk, but is there a reason? Is there a particular reason why you got into role playing?
Yes, there is. Because I love making characters and just reading or like experiencing good stories. Like Portal 1 and Portal 2, absolutely amazing. The story is so great. The characters are amazing. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just so inspiring to see this. And when I make a character, for example, for the Elder Scrolls Online, and that's just it, you know? I make the
Mm-hmm.
character, but I don't do anything with them. That's so boring,
Right.
you know? I want to actually flesh out this character and do more than just, like, do content with them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I want to actually turn them into a character that's interesting and have some kind of cool story with them, you know?
Right. No, I get that. I this is a really dumb idea that my friend sent to me, or told me about, and my friend's name is Gary, and Gary and I have been gamers for as long as I can remember. And Gary and Troy were like my oldest friends.
Yeah.
But what happened is he came to me like we were talking about like ideas for videos way back when, and he was playing on I forget what he was playing his Skyrim version on, special edition or whatever it was. But he found out that you could play as an ice astronaut and like you could download and mod your game to play as an ice astronaut,
Yeah.
and he just that's all he wanted to do was just to play as an ice astronaut. And we came up with this stupid story of how this ice astronaut accidentally becomes the dragonborn in Skyrim. And like of course it's an ice astronaut, so he doesn't talk. But we were going to name him
Of
Bob
course
the
you're
ice
gonna name him Bob.
astronaut. Um, and I can completely understand what it's like to sit down and be like, I want to make a character, but I can't just make a character. I have to make a character.
That's
I
the
have to.
difficult part about making a
Mhm.
character.
Oh yes, because like no matter what game I play now, I always have to come up with my character's backstory and stuff first if it's not provided. I know that sounds silly to people out there who are gamers who are just like, whatever, I just want to jump into Subnautica. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, but I'm playing as Jim the janitor
Oh yeah.
in Subnautica. He doesn't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I'm terrified of the
Oh,
ocean, but
same.
here I am.
That's great. But yeah, talking about the Bob the Ice Astronaut, I was talking about a friend of mine with about like the Elder Scrolls lore and everything. He was mentioning like the dragon breaks. Do you know what that is?
The dragon, what now?
The dragon breaks in the Elder Scrolls lore.
No, I do not. Not off the
Uh,
top of my head,
a
anyways.
dragon break is basically if a historical event happens,
Mm-hmm.
uh, every possible outcome of this event is canon, or something like that. Like Skyrim, for
Really?
example, would take place in a dragon break because there's so many different possibilities. Like the Dragonborn could be an Argonian or a Nord or an ice astronaut.
Oh, I get
So
it. So basically, this is Bethesda's way of saying every gameplay is
canon,
canon.
yes. So
Hmm.
I'm proud to say that Bob the Ice Astronaut is actually a thing.
Oh, that's great. Now I have to make the video. Now I have
Yeah,
now I
you
have to
have
do it.
to.
Like there's no way around it now.
Yeah.
Shit.
That's also like why the Elder Scrolls Online works with its choices. Like everything is just canon in some way or another.
Oh, that's great. I can't wait to tell Gary about this. He's gonna lose his mind. anyways, so it, we talked about how you've gotten into role playing, and that was by the Miiverse. We've talked about why you've gotten into role playing, and that's because you want to flesh out these characters.
Yeah.
Is there like a specific drive that keeps you going with it, or is it just I like to role play and that's that?
I think roleplay is, or writing specifically, is just such a big passion of mine, you know? I
Mm-hmm.
love playing games and I love to experience these kinds of things. And I love doing the same with my characters and just flesh them out over the years. For example, I think my main character, like, that's outside any games, that's like from an original species and shit like that. I think I've had
Mm-hmm.
him for like 4 or 5 years now. Recently, he's been through a redesign, and I've added a huge bit of story to him, which is kind of what I do. I can't just sit down and make a complete character. I have to develop them over time because I just don't have the motivation to sit down every day and work on them. Or
Mm-hmm.
like the inspiration. Sometimes ideas just come to me on a whim, and I'm gonna work with that. So that's kind of just my drive to like wanting to just work on them and seeing them finished, you know. But I don't think
Mm-hmm.
there's ever like, unless they die, there's not really a finish line for a character, you know. You can
No, I get it.
always add and change your character in some way. Also, I just really fucking love my main character. Okay.
Oh no,
uh,
I get you. No, I get you. I get you for real. Like there is definitely an attachment to my character. You are good, and I think anybody who out there who is like, I don't want my character to die, you are perfectly valid for real.
yeah. No, but I just mean like as for what motivates me to work on them, I just love him so much. You know? That's what also
Mm-hmm.
motivates me.
No, I get you. Yeah. Um. Callie has been my catalyst of socializing
Yeah.
because I am a single father. Oh, that was another thing that we were going to talk about, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of time to myself. I am a single dad. I have to spend a lot of time with my son.
Yeah.
All day, every day, and I do not mind. I am not complaining. I love my child.
Yeah.
Um,
As you should.
so yeah, of course, yeah. I will 110% always be ready to be a
Hell
father.
yeah.
But I unfortunately my son is 3 years old. He does not allow me the time for socializing. And role playing is the only time I get to socialize. When I get to jump in game, that's it. Like I don't have any other moments anymore. I don't have anybody to watch my son except myself.
Is that real quick? Is that sort of a reason as to why you started these podcasts as well? Because you just get to sit down with people and actually socialize for a little bit.
A little bit. I won't say that's entirely the entirely reason. To be honest with you, the biggest reason I want to do this is just because I want to eventually get to the point where I can help make a safer environment for all role players.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember when I first started, I was pulled into a lot of shitty situations as a human being
Yeah.
that I should never have been put in as a kid.
Yeah.
Because I started role playing when I was really young. I think I started role playing when I was
Yeah.
15, in a MMO. And I was no, even before then, back when it was MySpace. Oh no, wait, MySpace came out after World of Warcraft. So no, it was World of Warcraft.
Making you feel
But yeah,
old again.
oh god, I know, right? But I was put into a lot of shitty situations, and as a veteran of the community,
Yeah.
I feel like I have the ability to I have the drive and the ability to make a safer community.
Hell yeah.
And that's ultimately the reason why I started this podcast. So I can sit down and talk with other people and be like, hey, don't we love just such a weird hobby? But anyways, so I guess before moving on to the next topic for your episode, we've been recording for a little over an hour now. So I guess what I would like to ask is if there's anything that you would like to say to the other role players out there.
I think I would like to say, adding to what you said, trying to make or create a safe environment for people, it's absolutely okay to not be good at role playing. Like,
Oh
yeah,
yes.
we all have that time. We start
Mm-hmm.
out as like cringy ass role players, and we can't write or anything. Our characters are bullshit. It's totally fine. We're all learning, and
Oh
even
yes.
after years of doing this, I'm still learning. So
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to just not be good and ask for help and advice for like role playing. You know?
Absolutely. Never be afraid to reach out to people and ask them. Like I know it's scary
Yeah.
because like you have an idea and there's always a chance that your idea will get rejected and whatever. It doesn't matter. If you want to be a part of this community, please reach out to somebody.
Yeah.
And yes, some ideas might get turned down by some people, but some other people might really enjoy the idea, and those are the people that you're going to want to be around.
Yeah. And another thing, this is something I myself look at when I look at a character. This may just be whatever you're making, like a human or a weird lizard or whatever. They are fictional character, but you still, while role playing, you should apply common sense to the situation. You should sort of treat it like a real life situation, like you still in character, you're sort of still reacting and interacting with quote unquote human beings, and out of character behind these in character player, there's still actual human beings behind, and you shouldn't just, you should put that into consideration before you say or do certain things.
Absolutely. Like people got to realize that we are all still human here.
Yeah.
And we are all still trying to. I hope we're all still human. I hope we're human, but
don't say anything.
but we're all still people who are wanting to come. Like, that is the ultimate thing to remember. We are all here to enjoy a good story.
Yeah.
That is it. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming out, Tiny Upbeat. I just been calling you Tiny this whole time.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on to the podcast and talking with me, coming from Germany. What part of Germany are you calling me from?
North Rhine-Westphalia. It's like...
Oh boy, I'm gonna have to find that on the map later.
It's in the western side of Germany.
All right, because I have like this little map thing on my computer that I'm starting to use to pin places.
If you're pinpointing my location, so you can find out my information. I see.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all this podcast is about.